Hey the internet, this is Lock, live from the distant future where there are no new ideas and people on forums still hate MMOs. It's a touchy subject this week, so if it feels like I'm having a go at you, I'm sorry. I don't want you to feel that way. I'm trying to discuss ideas and the way that we approach the discussion of what we want out of a game. There's no accusation in this video I'm not guilty of. Disclaimer filled with portentous dread out of the way. GDC, PAX East, all the things and stuff everywhere. It's an exciting time of year for people who are interested in games in any way. One of my personal highlights of the year as someone compelled to talk incessantly about MMOs is the Future of Online Games panel at PAX East. Link to the video below. There was lots of talk about exactly what you'd expect: crowdfunding, open development, the shift to more sandbox systems, a collective suppressed eye roll at a question about what the best monetization model is. There was a good laugh for the when will WoW die question, all good stuff, and a variety of opinions expressed well. One of the highlights for me was actually the first response from John Peters, the lead game designer at ArenaNet, working on Guild Wars 2, the sentiment of which he repeated a few times throughout the panel. He said, and I quote, "What is an online game? It's like where you play with other people, right? So the future of online games is just games that you can play with other people. And my suspicion is, what we're going to see rising to the top is games that are good. It doesn't really matter what they are." That's the end of the quote right there. Perhaps he was being a little facetious, but I think he was making a point that's often forgotten in discussions like this. So with that in mind, let's consider a few things. What do we mean when we say online game these days? Is the nature of online games changing? Are the lines blurring to the point where there's no need to distinguish between just video games, online games, even MMOs? Now, card games, Magic the Gathering's coming out with a new free games. Is that blurring the line even between video games and non-video games? Playing tabletop role-playing games with people on the other side of the world via Skype and programs dedicated to that. The definitions may change, but the experience that people want doesn't necessarily change in line with the industry or with the technology. And why would we put limits on that? There's hundreds of arguments happening right now. Go out and find them if you don't believe me. Forums and Reddit everywhere that exist because two people are applying the subject of the argument to their own mental model of what a game should look like, what they feel a game should look like, while failing to recognize someone else's model looks different. They both could be right, they both could be wrong. If you believe the third person wading into the argument, they're both stupid. But usually people will pick a camp and stick to it. It's basically a trope at this point that when announcing a new MMO, it gets put through the ringer by players demanding to know why it's different. Why is it different? Why is this game different to all those other games that were similar but I hated? Do we not think that's a strange response? Innovation is good. Thinking outside the box can lead to really interesting solutions to existing problems or create new opportunities. But why is that the automatic question? Why isn't the automatic question why is it good? Why don't we ask why is it good? Why should we want to play the game? Why do we ask why is it different from those other games? There have been so many amazing innovations in the medium already, and despite a trend of copying one particular model, there's still a lot of variety there. It does exist. If Star Wars Galaxies or Warhammer Online or another game that was unfortunately closed, shuttered, if one of those games was your jam, you might have some specific requirements for a replacement to that. But again, in that case, the question still shouldn't be what's new about the game that's coming out. The question should be, is this game like Swig? No? Oh well, better luck next time. Hopefully the next game's got the thing that you like in it. And I really think that we've got to the point where we have to ask ourselves, is it the case that these people just don't really like MMOs anymore? I mean, personal taste aside, if you can't name 5 MMOs that you think are thoroughly worth playing for an extended period right now, can you really call yourself a fan of the medium of MMOs? I mean, I can do this. I could do that with MOBAs. I could do it with FPS games. I barely even play games like that. Criticism, obviously. Criticism's important. Feedback is always welcome by any developer that's worth your time as a player. And me personally, I could write, and I mean this literally, I could write thousands and thousands of words on the problems I find with a game, with an MMO. Even sometimes, if it's a game I've played a lot, with a particular facet of an MMO, and still conclude that it's really fun and you should definitely play it. Does this mean that we're setting the bar too high? Are we setting the bar in a position that exists in another dimension that's not even accessible to us? I mean, what answer would satisfy the people who were just demanding something new, who just wanted the game to be different and nothing else? Not copying WoW is a common answer to that question, to which my response would be there are plenty of games that really don't. Some of them came before WoW and they're still playable, so I'm sorry, but I don't think that's what you really mean or what you really want. The point is, there are a ton of games with different ideas already, a ton of MMOs with different ideas already. Whatever magic combination you have in your head, whatever that mental model is, will not change how you feel if you don't enjoy logging on with a few friends to fight some mobs or some players and hoping to nab the shiny thing. Thinking about the future of MMOs and looking forward to new ones is great. I do it, obviously, and I have a lot of fun talking about it, trying to come up with ideas with friends. But this should never be at the expense of what is already all around us. I've noticed this cycle, the expectation, the hype train, we joke about it a lot. It's followed by early access or beta burnout and ultimate disappointment. I've been a victim of it too. I've done it to myself, so I'm making a positive choice to play some games and think about what makes them good rather than what I wish was different. I think that would be a much healthier approach, so you'll probably be hearing about that. You'll be hearing about my adventures through games, thinking about what makes MMOs worthwhile and what makes them great. I'm done. I'm so over cynicism now. And I want to know what you think. Are we distracted? Are we distracted from the now? Is there anything we can do about it, or are we helpless before the the all-consuming marketing strategies? Are all games, including MMOs, meant to be consumed in this way? Are they meant to be as disposable as they have become? What are your top 5 MMOs currently worth playing? That'd be an interesting one to have a chat about. But overall, again, to go along with the disclaimer, I'm sorry if it feels like I'm having a go at you. I don't mean it to be that way, but I understand